And baby, I'm TFC till I die.
Hello and welcome to Toronto Till I Die, the Toronto FC fan show. I'm Mike Newell, joined as always by Jeffrey P. Nesker. We finally have a game to talk about. I mean, maybe it didn't quite end the way that we all hoped, at least for day one, but I mean, there are things to take out of it, both good and negative. Of course, Toronto FC played their first game of the 2026 season and fell to FC Dallas 3-2. We'll talk about that. We'll talk a little bit about this supposed to be imminent, literally supposed to be announced today. It keeps getting pushed. But Josh Sargent will be a Toronto FC player. He will be the new number 9 for Toronto FC. It just comes down to when are they actually going to announce this thing? Who knows? And then, of course, we'll talk a little bit of our over-unders for 2026. We'll continue doing that, and we'll have our red of the day. Mr. Nesker, this weekend, how did you take in opening day? And hello to the community, by the way. Throw it in the chat. Where were you watching opening day TFC? And yeah, how was your weekend?
It was pretty crap, actually. I ran over another pothole and had to get my rims replaced.
I saw the pictures for that.
Hamilton. Yeah. Barton Street is dead to me, I think. I'm going to walk next time I have to go anywhere on Barton Street. Obviously, Mikey Singh isn't with us tonight. He is previously indisposed, which is good because I want to open today by saying I am at Mike overload. I started a new gig today. We had a Zoom call, and I think 90% of everybody on the gig was Mike. So there was like Mike 1, Mike 2, Mike 3, Mike 4. I'm at critical mass for mics. This is as many mics as I can put up with. That's it. So or otherwise we're just gonna have to start doing nicknames and stuff like that. All's well that ends well. Find a good. All I'll say is find a mechanic that you love that loves you back. But it did put a bit of a storm cloud on my weekend. So I watched the game at home because I didn't feel like going out anymore. And I'm kind of glad I did because I got to spend all of Saturday watching MLS, which I haven't done in a while because they insist on having most games start at the exact same time as TFC games. Which of course means I'm watching TFC games. I'm not even going to watch the wraparound show. Like that, when people were like, "Oh, the wraparound show is so great," it's like, yeah, but if you follow a team, you're going to be watching that team, not the wraparound show. Like, what's the logic of that? So, yeah. It was a game. I think I titled this show "A Game Was Played," so that's something. It was a game. We saw some players. I'm remiss to hit the panic button, but it really looked kind of. It looked bad out there for a long stretch of it.
Yeah. I watched this in a bar downtown Toronto in the middle of a
Scotland Yard
bar crawl. Yeah. Fifth bar in the bar crawl by the time I got to Scotland Yard.
So are you even qualified to talk about the game? Because
I have rewatched the game since. But actually, I, funny enough, do remember quite a bit actually from the Saturday night and watching the game. And like, I get your point around it being a game that, it looked like a game of two teams that were playing the first regular season game. It looked sloppy on both ends. You're obviously not as coordinated as sort of fine-tuned as you would be mid-season. That's to be expected for a February 21st game. There are some things to complain about from a Toronto FC performance perspective. Obviously, conceding 3 goals in your opener is not exactly the ringing endorsement for what was supposed to be a better organized team defense. There were calamity and at times just hesitation, indecision, players making individual mistakes. I think that led to all 3 goals.
Yep.
And you end up in a situation where I think the score line looks worse than it kind of really was. I would say 2-2 would have been a fair result here. But I mean, look, it's an interesting starting 11 that come out in this game, right? Like if you think about how the teams line up, like I think I had my pre-game lineup. Mine was pretty much bang on in terms of starters. The only change.
No one wanted to pull the trigger on DJ up top. Absolutely nobody wanted to will that into existence.
Yeah, I had Etienne on the bench.
Yeah.
I had Monlouis starting. Obviously, he is now hurt again and not playing. So Kosi started at center back. And I had Kobe Franklin in there. I had a feeling Kobe would play. Didn't quite go so great for Kobe, but like, I don't know. I don't know how you feel about it, but like I
mean, here's the thing that's keeping me up at night, right? When we had rough starts previously in the 5 years of hell that's starting to sort of become this sort of quivering blob of sadness that I can't quite remember which year it was, but like when we had slow starts, it was often because we didn't have a proper preseason. Well, all we've heard is we've had a proper preseason. This was the most proper. They got to do everything and a bag of chips on this preseason, and then they come out as flat as they did there. Now, I think we have to note that in 20 years, this team has never won away at Frisco, Texas, which is a stat that belongs in hell, and we need to change that immediately. But that being said, it is the truth. We've never won away in that barn. So for me, trying to equate that dichotomy of, oh my God, amazing preseason. Like this is the preseason that, was promised to us in the stars. And then it's kind of hard to equate the two. Right.
Yeah.
And then like you were leaning in, that lineup was really safe. I mean, maybe you don't want to start Daniel Shalhoub on his first game, but like, those decisions permeated everywhere. Like, so you're also not going to give Raheem Edwards the start. Both of these guys have had preseasons. Like, you're not going to give Jules Anthony Vilsaint the start. I don't think he deserved the start because if the scuttlebutt out of preseason is to be believed, he was pretty non-committed during that amazing preseason, and nobody should be rewarded for that. But that being said, I looked at a lot. One of my favorite things about this first game was that everybody and their mother was putting out perspective lineups, like with the graphics and everything. Like they were all of TFC land, like was putting out like really nice gussied up graphics, and absolutely nobody wanted to call DEJ as the starting center forward, even though we all secretly knew that was going to happen. So it's a bit of a like, oh yeah, we're not quite as ambitious as we all think we should be. And when push comes to shove, we're going to feel that sort of thing and still lose. Right.
Yeah. I look at this starting 11 and let's just go through it really quickly. So obviously the surprise for me was Derek Etienne starting up top.
And yet not surprising at all. Like
fair. Yes. True. Yeah. In some ways not surprising, but still surprising. Malik Henry starting on the right with Cuejo, Cifuentes, and Osorio. That's the midfield I had for this game. And the back line was Lorea, Thompson, Zimmerman, who I think had a bit of a shocker, and Kobe Franklin, with Georgi Mihailovic by far being the best player on the pitch for TFC, playing just in behind Etienne and sort of having a bit of a free role. And obviously Luka Gavrin in goal. And I think, I think based on the fact that you had some injuries, it now coming to light that Theo Corbianu's going to be out for a while.
Yeah, I mean, there's no timeline on that, but you see somebody in a hospital gown and you're not starting this weekend. It looks like
he's been, they're talking about this has been something that he's been dealing with for almost a year. It seems like he's going to be out for a bit. This is probably, you probably look at this lineup and say like, yeah, you could use a Daniel Shalhoub. Yeah, you could maybe take a flyer and a Aristizabal to start here, to give you something. Maybe you go with Raheem Edwards at the left and play Richie at the right. I mean, I may be a little bit surprising at some point. Literally, Lorea during the end of the game ended up kind of being a midfielder, kind of working.
I mean, that's how he started.
A bit. Yeah,
like that's where he began,
which was really interesting, and I thought he played really well in that position.
Reminded me of Saka as the 10 for Arsenal over at the weekend. Reminded me a little bit of that kind of style.
Yeah, and I think, look, going forward, I didn't mind what TFC were doing. I think they were a little cohesive going forward, and obviously you scored the 2 goals. You give up a bad goal to start. Luka Gavrin does not cover himself in glory. Walker Zimmerman doesn't cover himself in glory. And you can respond quite quickly with a well-timed goal from Georgi Mihailovic. But I think that just defensively, you saw a team that it feels like, and maybe this is a product of their preseason, right? The level of opponent that they played was, one of the things that did surprise me was the fact that they had no MLS opponents in their preseason. You would think that they would want to at least try to get themselves up to MLS match speed with some MLS opponents, but they played none. And it felt like, in preseason, one of the things I noticed was that although they were playing all right in preseason, the pace was not quite there. Like, I looked at these games, I'm like, this is not the pace of an MLS game. And, you could say what you want about MLS. It's not the top league in the world. The quality isn't quite Europe, but it does have a physical,
it's a track meet.
Pace, and it can be a bit of a track meet at times, just simply due to the nature of the league and the quality of the league. And I felt in preseason, they never really got to a test like that. And I think it showed against Dallas. I like defensively at least.
I would break it down as they've got a Peter Musa and who's the other guy, Farrington or
Farrington,
they got them and we don't. I mean, that was basically the decider there. They've got 2 guys that can change a game on its head individually that are forever like looking to poach goals, and we don't. We have
Peter Musa is one of the best players in the league, in my opinion.
Unbelievable. When he came from Benfica, I watched him playing for Benfica. It was unbelievable at Benfica, and they hated him there. Like he's a very, very good striker. Do you think we underestimated FC Dallas?
Like us or pundits around and
the team. I think the team.
I don't know if the team underestimated them. No, I don't think that's it, because I think we as pundits and people who are watching, I think may have slightly underestimated FC Dallas.
For sure.
I was saying this Saturday as I'm watching this game and looking at it, and I'm like, FC Dallas are okay. They're not like a world-beating MLS side. Like they have Peter Musa. They have Peter Musa. And he is a guy who is can make things out of nothing, in a sense of, you can get into the box, he can score goals. But aside 100%. From that, I'm going to be wondering where a lot of that's coming from. But that said, I'm watching that game, and even though we went down 1-0, I'm like, there's goals in this game. There's goals for us in this game. So I don't think they're a world beater by any sense of any stretch of the imagination. That said, maybe we overestimated where TFC are coming out of preseason.
I think that's fair.
I think that's more the thing. I think we looked at that preseason, and look, a lot of the things that I saw in preseason that I liked, some of that translated into this game in terms of look, they didn't quit. It were previous TFC teams that we have complained about vociferously on the show would have quit very easily. Like that 2 years ago, that's probably a 4-0. They're probably down 3 at half.
I can see that.
Where this team wasn't going to quit and fought back twice. I think it's just disappointing individual errors that end up costing you a point. I think, again, like I said, I think if you can cut out a little bit of that, a 2-2 draw, I think is a fair result out of that game. But obviously, again, you make two mistakes. And the concerning thing for me watching that was that, 1 or 2 of those mistakes were from Walker Zimmerman. Like your experienced veteran center back that you brought in to stabilize the back. Now, again,
sometimes experience works both ways. You know what I mean? Sometimes, in the moment, muscle memory kicks in. What looks like a header to no one is a header in the system he used to play in, and just doesn't translate here. So, his pedigree suggests that this is an outlier. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Ask me again in 5 games after more of the same, and I'll be the first person to be screaming, fire in a crowded theater. But right now, to me, it's too much. Like, he cannot bail out Gavron who isn't Sean Johnson, and he cannot bail out the rest of his defensive core that are literally crashing into each other like it's an episode of Keystone.
That was bad.
You know what I mean?
That was bad.
That's just too much to do. And I don't even think 2017, let's build a whole Nashville team around him, Walker Zimmerman is going to cover himself in glory in that kind of situation.
Yeah.
But he is the focal point, and he does have to carry some of the weight of those things. If he's vocal, you'd have to think, hey, don't do that. Like, stop. Don't run into each other. Like you're chasing a fly ball. You know what I mean? Like,
Kobe, if you look at that play, like Kobe gets bodied, like he gets bodied, and then like he's actually in a decent position to actually recover, and then he just 100%. Gets absolutely taken out, because somebody's trying to cover for him. And I get the idea, but once that happened, you're just like, oh, okay.
I mean, you and I probably agree on this. Like the defensive patterns that I saw during the run of draws, and beautifully expressed in the Orlando game to close out the season, I didn't see in this team playing against Dallas. I saw the beginning of it, like certainly when the game phase changed and they went from attack to defense, or I could see those ideas, but then it just became chaos. And that was either because somebody didn't have the pace, or they were in the wrong place, or their body was turned the wrong way. So I don't know what was going on, but there was like that lapse in setting up for the defense that ended up being the harbinger of all of this bad stuff that we watched. Right. And so that's got to get fixed really, really quickly. Because
as much as, that's obviously disappointing to watch, I do believe that stuff's fixable. If we're talking about this, let's just say we're talking about this in a month. Maybe we start to go, ooh. But I think that stuff can be fixed. One, I don't think Kobe Franklin's going to be starting that many games. I don't think, you know what I mean? Like at some point you're going to maybe give Raheem Edwards some starts. I liked Malik Henry in this game. I know he's not going to be, I could be wrong, but I don't think he's.
I think Theo just opened the runway up for.
Yeah, I guess it's true. I guess that's true.
Minutes,
I guess that's true. But I mean, I didn't think he was that bad on the day. But defensively, I think you're going to sort some things out. I think my concern is, again, if you're going to have this revolving second center back behind Walker Zimmerman, can you find that defensive solidity? Can you find that relationship that continue to build defense? And I don't want to harp completely on the defense or on the center backs.
It deserves many more minutes because it was pretty woeful. And I think, nature, I say this all the time, nature abhors a vacuum. And I'm just worried that by taking the king out of that chessboard, and the king being Sean Johnson, that all the other pawns are going to fall down. Like I feel like we didn't appreciate enough of what he brought to the table, and we just assumed that it would be a plug and play thing. And now we're putting all the weight of all of this on Walker Zimmerman's shoulders, and it may be too much to bear on Walker.
That's kind of what happened to Matt Hedges too,
and we do not have the time for this, right? Like it's not like we're previewing a game where we're coming back to our barn and they get a proper home opener. They're on a road trip like Kiss right now. Like they're on a world tour, and if they don't start putting points together at some of these other places, like I said, like we're going to be looking at another lost season before the World Cup comes to town, and that's no fun for anybody.
They don't have an easy one this weekend. They have to go to Vancouver and play the MLS Cup finalists, who won and looked good.
They did. They sure did
on Saturday. And
I'll tell you who looked amazing, and it hurts my soul. New York Red Bulls. They looked unbelievable for a roster that young.
And they played like 3 17-year-olds.
Did you see his touch highlights? That guy. Oh my.
Yeah,
God.
Julian Hall.
Like he did not put a foot wrong. Like, oh my goodness. Yeah,
Julian Hall is the real deal. He's the real deal.
And their press was suffocating. Like it was like, I can't imagine. Like it was beautiful football to watch. And it just made me so sad because I would love to have seen that, with that gaffer in an alternate universe here, as opposed to
maybe one day.
Maybe one day. But,
Well, look, let's take a couple of positives out. I think there are positives. All right. One thing about Malik, that yellow card was really dumb.
That was a really dumb yellow card, and you saw it from space. I mean, the second he got beat, and then he turned into like a Timu version of Richie. You knew when he was chasing that card was coming out, and you just can't do that at this level. You cannot do that, and I think that's indicative of like a lot of the game. Like people were doing things that like you just don't do in a professional environment such as that. Like you just don't.
I think going down, you don't take that early.
Yeah, like you don't take a stupid yellow like that. Like you just don't. You know what I mean? And like some of those defensive lapses are like, what were you thinking? Like, what? Please, like, what were you thinking? It's impossible not to be a little bit concerned with that display. It just is.
It's just the nature of like giving up the goal within the first 9 minutes, and I felt like they were like, oh, here we go again. That look kind of hit the team a little bit, but a couple of other positives. Obviously, to get back into it as quickly as he did, I thought Jonathan Osorio was fantastic.
Was stupid. That pass absolutely was stupid.
Right. I like for all the people who are saying Jonathan Osorio has no place in this team. Are you crazy? Second, Georgi Mihailovic. He's you're gonna get your money's worth. The $8 million seemed a lot. You're gonna get your money's worth.
He fades a lot. He fades a bit too much in and out from my liking in games.
But those kind of players, like they're going to be in and out of matches in terms of, especially when you're chasing games the way TFC were, and they were chasing the game for the majority of the match. Like, he's not gonna necessarily fade, but it's not quite the same game as if you're up and you're dominating possession and he can sort of find his space and pick passes and things like that.
You see,
but when you need him, he will deliver.
I need him to press. When we're losing, I need him to press. I don't need him to fade out of the game, right? And if he's not pressing, then somebody else isn't pressing, and then suddenly we're down. Like I don't, Messi can choose when he wants to run. Georgi Mihailovic, I don't think has that privilege yet, and I don't like to, it's just, what are you doing there if you're not going to be invested in both sides of the game?
I'll disagree in the sense that I think, again, you want him to look like he's running all over the place, but there are times where you don't need to be doing that. You need him to conserve his energy to
100%
spaces to help 100%. You when it matters, right? And I think he was in those right spaces for the majority of the time. As much as we said, oh my God, Derek Etienne Jr. is playing up top, not a bad game, right? Obviously gets a goal, which is, and I thought the finish was really well
he's
done.
He's one of the most frustrating players who's ever played.
He is. He
like,
really is.
He does
like
so
when he's on,
right.
He's good.
Yeah.
When he's on, he's like a serviceable MLS player.
When he's on, he's like not. A serviceable 7 out of 10 who still is like a deer trapped in the headlights inside the opponent's scoring area. Like magical touches outside, and then
that goal was well taken.
He misses that 9 out of 10 times. Right.
Well, look, I don't think at this point you want him as your starting 9, even though right now it looks like he is, until aforementioned American number 9 savior from Norwich shows up. But that I will give him a positive in that regard, because I thought he brought a little something to the game. I thought from a pressing perspective, I think that I see why I don't mean not agree with him being in the lineup, but I saw why Robin Fraser likes him.
He works his socks off.
Exactly. And that's what he wants.
Yeah. But you have to ask, is that papering over other people not working their socks off, right? Like if and again, I don't want to slag Georgie, but I'm just saying if Georgie was, and even I wanted to say Seba, but God, Seba like walked around half the time.
But that was his you're not asking Seba to go press. Like that's not.
Well,
that's
I mean, he's 5 foot nothing. Like what's he gonna do?
You're not asking him to press. That's not the job. Like the same thing to a certain extent with Georgi Mihailovic. It's like, yes, he will press. He will do the work. You're not asking him to be always the lead guy pressing.
Yeah.
That's not.
And that's fair.
If he's doing that, you got problems. You're
right. It's just, it was so disjointed and chaotic out there. I don't know who to be mad at. I think that's what I'm.
I think it's the first game of the season. Like,
but it wasn't. But it wasn't. It would
I know. But I think you got to I know we as fans, as people who love this club and watch everything in our sickos, we're gonna look back to 10 games back in September and October of last year and draw parallels to February of this year. I do think this is one of those games, the first opening game of the season, where I think you kind of look at it in a silence and like, okay, this is one. However, if we start seeing a through line, a trend, then we can kind of go, okay, finger on here, we got a problem.
Yeah, I'm paying a lot more attention to things that I didn't think I would pay for. Kelsio Alculo has a really interesting question. Let's bring it up. And it's something that I was trying to sort of blunt force.
And I wanted to talk
about
it.
And it's my cue. Do you think the Shallowy transfer may have been instigated by Corbianu's situation? I think it's a happy accident because if you think about our left side, we needed him.
Yeah.
I mean, we needed him desperately.
I think it was happening regardless.
I think it was happening regardless.
Good to have him now, considering Theo is out for a while. Like, and I think he was a positive. Well, like he came onto the pitch, and I'm like, okay, now I see why you want.
Some of those crosses, though, were. I mean, maybe the wind took them, but some of them were a little.
Yeah, but like, I mean, he's not the. I don't. When I've watched Daniel Shalhoub, he's not the guy who's like hugging a touch line, beating two guys and whipping crosses in. That's not the kind of winger he is.
Yeah, he's not.
He is the direct, get the ball to feet. When he first got in, I think one of his first touches was beautiful. Like he got it just above the 18, and he like maybe about 25 yards out. He got the ball and turned in one, and I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, we don't have a lot of guys who do that. We really and don't. Just literally took the ball in one turn and attacked. And I'm like, that is a guy we need. We don't have a lot of that. And again, limited minutes as he's coming off the bench, came in the 54th. But
I thought Raheem looked really good.
Yeah, I thought Raheem looked very good. I thought he looked comfortable, which again, that's why I think he's going to start more often than not. Just simply because I think he looks comfortable out there. He's comfortable in the shirt. He knows the expectations. He knows Robin. And I think he is, look, he's not going to be a spectacular football. He's not the guy that we saw in 2017. Like, he's not going to be that, like the same marauding guy up and down the flank. Like
when he gets a nice full head of steam, though, it's like he can do it. Maybe.
He can definitely motor. He can definitely motor, but it's not the same Raheem from 2017. Maybe he's better. A bit of a different guy.
Maybe he's better. Maybe he's a bit more well-rounded. Maybe it's a bit more like a Justin Morrow kind of situation, which I mean, I wouldn't kick out of bed for eating chips. So absolutely. Absolutely.
And I mean, Aristizabal, I mean, he only came on for
I can't make it. I have no.
It's hard to make a judgment other than to say, like, I'm excited to see him.
Me too.
And I want to see what he can do. I wonder if if aforementioned, we're soon to talk about American striker makes the team, or they finally announced the signing. Does he start right away? We'll see. But I want to see a little bit more of this kid. Once they said he was going to be ready for Saturday, I thought he might actually start.
I mean, considering
they're going to blood him in and give him some time.
I mean, I'd like to see him get some minutes. I thought it was a no-brainer to have him start since he's here, and the Sarge wasn't, right? I thought it was a no-brainer, but what do I know? I'm not Robin Fraser. What was I going to say? Confession time. I went to get a can of pop or something, and I came back and it was a close-up of Henry Wingo, and I was like, who the hell is that?
I actually said the same thing in the bar. I'm like, whoa, who is that?
I had no idea. I'm like, is that a trialist? Like, what's going on? What?
I mean, nice to see him back in the sense that it's nice to see him healthy and playing again.
There's a footballer there.
There is a footballer there. Let's see if it's an effective one. I'm not going to draw any sort of conclusions off the short amount of time that he was on the pitch, but clearly they're going to be running through some defenders in this team, right? Like, until they can find a solid 2 or a solid secondary center back with Zimmerman. Henry Winger can play the right. He can technically play on the left. He could play in center back. And I figure he's gonna figure in the team.
He has to.
Just exactly what he's gonna do and where he's gonna fit in, we'll see.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But I was after the shock of seeing somebody that I didn't recognize playing for the club that I spend a lot of time thinking about. I looked and like there's some skill there. I mean, there's absolutely a player there. Let's just hope he can stay healthy and do something.
That's a big thing.
So he doesn't end up, second only to Adama Diomande for players that have defrauded TFC out of hundreds of thousands of dollars and played like 15 minutes.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Let's talk about it. The transfer saga that seems to never end might actually be ending. We might be at the end. We might be about to drop the ring in the volcano. Let's see.
Yeah.
Josh Sargent is imminent. It's happening.
Is he?
He has signed.
Wouldn't it be hilarious if
it would be very?
It would be so funny. It would be so funny.
But from every indication, he signed it. It's done.
And from every indication, the only thing that's holding it up is the fact that New York is buried under like 55,000 feet of snow right now, and so it's pretty difficult to get things done. Wasn't there a press conference for today that was pushed to tomorrow?
There's been a presser that was there was supposed to be an event on Monday that got pushed because then it was going to be a presser, and then it's been pushed a couple of times. It's supposed to be tomorrow, from our understanding. There was supposed to be maybe even an announcement like this evening, like from socials, but that hasn't dropped yet. So, see right now at the time of recording, nothing has dropped. Maybe they do a late night little
It would be absolutely hilarious and such a troll if they announced him at Cafe Diplomatico at a live event just for shiggles. Just for shiggles.
That's what they're waiting for.
That would be. I would be like, guys. I would be like, guys, thank you so. Like,
big stage on college.
Yeah, exactly.
In the cold.
I would be like, man, you guys, that's pretty hilarious. So $700,000 is going to St. Louis. What 500K now, another
some add-ons,
200K the next year. Because one, it's discovery rights, and two, because they didn't get speak for Raheem Edwards, incidentally enough, they didn't get one of those drafts, right?
No, so
they
had
right of. Oh, go ahead.
What it was at the time when St. Louis entered the league, they got rid of the allocation order, basically.
Right.
So the allocation order, for those who don't speak MLS, was a mechanism for U.S. men's national team players coming into the league, and those who had once played in MLS, had left for significant fees, and were coming back to the league. And there was an allocation order where like you got it based on flipping. But
didn't they also veto the expansion draft, like where teams had to protect?
Yeah, so they didn't have an expansion draft.
Yeah.
No, wait. St. Louis, I think, may have had an expansion draft. Don't quote me on that. I
don't think they did, but regardless, they had what they chose was, we want Josh Sargent.
Well, so basically what St. Louis did is they negotiated with the league, because in the most MLS fashion ever, they decided this super late, and St. Louis were expecting to have an opportunity to select a player through the allocation order. The league dropped it very late. And St. Louis were like, well, we need to be compensated here. So the league allowed them to pick one player that was on the allocation list currently, and that they would have the rights to, and they picked Josh Sargent because Josh Sargent is from St. Louis.
And then we just waltzed into this minefield like the
well, TFC knew. Like, TFC knew, obviously. I think what is throwing people off is traditionally that, like, to get the rights for a player, usually it's like $50K in GAM, and maybe it will go up. Though recently there have been deals where the rights to sign a player have gone up. Like, it's like, well, I think the deal before that was like 400,000 GAM.
Yeah.
So not exactly out of the realm. But I mean, look, St. Louis took them to the cleaners. They're like, this is either, for St. Louis, it's either you get the player or you're going to get significant.
Well, let's be honest. I mean, sorry, St. Louis fans, but your team, and probably for the best, isn't interested in spending tens of millions of dollars around the league, just like throwing money at anybody that walks by, like we are. So maybe it's a blessing in disguise.
And I wonder in the chat, in the community, if they want to chime in. Now that this thing is done, I know there has been a lot of sort of talk around the fee, right? Let's put St. Louis aside, because that just had to happen in order to sign him.
I can't table almost $1 million. Like, if it was $200,000, fine, it's a rounding error, but it's like that's Sigur Rosted's salary for a year.
They
right?
piled up so much GAM. What a lot of people don't know is they actually made a GAM trade after the Shallowy signing, I think.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, for like
Welcome,
400K from the Galaxy. I'm assuming a good chunk of that is heading to St. Louis anyway.
yeah,
And all you had to give up with an international spot you weren't going to use. So, I get it, but a lot of people are going to balk at $22 million,
yeah,
which is about 16 million pounds, 15.5 million pounds, transfer fee plus add-ons that could take it up to 27.
yeah.
Um, I mean, there's two thoughts, there's two sort of ways you can look at this. One is, don't worry about the money they spent. It is specially allocated money that the club was not going to be able to spread across the team like a lot of people insinuate. Like this is like basically, Jason Hernandez going to Keith Pelly and saying, hey, this is a player that we really want. This is our designated player. You've got this pot of money that is reserved just for this type of player. This is who we want to get, right? That's one way to think about it. The other way to think about it is this the most efficient, best use of those funds? Is he the player that you should be spending 22 million on, or is there other talent out there that may be a little bit more, I don't know what you want to call it, frankly, let's just say it, could potentially be better, that you could have spent this money on, and maybe not even have spent as much for that player? Yeah. So there's two lines. Yeah. I'm curious what line I think I know what line you're on, but
I mean, look, the fact that Anton Griezmann might be coming for less than Josh Sargent makes me want to die. let's just open with that. And the other thing is that we're bearing the lead here. Ryan downtown says if he scores goals, I don't care about the transfer fee or the GAM to St. Louis. I agree with that. What I do care about is that less than a year removed from being the laughing stock of MLS. Forget about MLS, world football. We're the guys that paid Lorenzo Insigne tens of millions of dollars to sit on the bench and do the New York Times crossword every weekend, right? Now we're the guys that are paying Norwich City a stupefying amount of money for Josh Sargent, right? Like, there's such a thing as bad press. And the fact is that TFC has been on the lips of global soccer now within the last 2 years as the butt of a joke, right? And I don't like stepping on rakes. I don't know anybody that does. That's what really bothers me, Fair. And my question to the Ryan downtowns out there is, sure, we don't care about the transfer fee or the GAM or to St. Louis, but the world mosaic, like he's basically got to win the World Cup for us, which is, as we know, totally impossible for a club team, for the rest of the world. Yeah, but for the rest of the world to stop using TFC as the butt of a joke. And then let's forget about the schoolyard bullying nonsense. We're now we are the team that you go to when you want to entice someone to overpay and get locked into a protracted battle. Like we're on the there's no way that we're being ignored for this. Like, we have egg on our face again, and we weren't. So that's what really bothers me is oh, really? Like, we're mostly the same players. We're not even that far removed from the debacle that was that absolute saga, and here we go willingly into it again. Like, that to me is screams concern. That's what I'm super concerned about.
And that's reasonable. That is a reasonable way to look at this. Considering we thought that maybe this club would maybe reel back the spending a little bit just because of what happened we
threw ourselves
with
right
Lorenzo and Federico.
Again.
But I will say, I see Ryan's point. I see it in a sense that this money would not have been used in any way. And I see it in the sense of that's the argument. Ollie Platts made this argument on One Soccer. Mm-hmm. I've heard a few other people make it. You could take that money and you could spread it across the team, and you could get.
That's not how this mechanism.
That's not how the mechanism works. That's just not how it works.
No.
So you're going to spend it on a DP. My concern is, I just don't know if Josh Sargent is that guy. You know what I mean? I could be wrong. And look, he's the things that are in the positive of this is that he's the right age, 25. Mm-hmm. He's not, in terms of age, not at the prime yet. right? He is coming with he does have a pedigree. Like, let's not ignore that he scored goals in the Bundesliga. He scored goals in the Premier League. He wasn't in the Premier League super long, but he scored goals in the Championship. And the Championship is a damn hard league. Like, it is a damn hard league.
Okay, but before I forget, Emmanuel Latte-Lav, who actually has a better record in the Champo than Josh Sargent, is a freaking disaster for Atlanta. Like an absolute unmitigated disaster.
True. I don't know if they're the same player per se, because I think Latte-Lav needs service, where Josh Sargent actually can create a little bit more on his own and be really the focal point of an attack. But yes, you do run into the same kind of, and I mean, they're basically coming for the same amount of money. I made Latte-Lav, I think, was 22 million as well, or pretty close to that.
It depends on the add-ons, but
it depends on the add-ons and stuff like that. But I mean, you could go the way where he's like Latte-Lav, right? And even if he's not as bad as Latte-Lav, let's say he's like somewhere in between, and he scores a couple of goals, but it's not like, maybe he hits 10 goals in all comps. Is that good enough? Is it 15? Does he have to be a 20-goal scorer? Like what? Like,
you have to qualify that question. Good enough for TFC land? Good enough for global football? Nothing is going to
I'm not worried about global football.
I am. I don't like my team being a laughing stock.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. I think for me, it's like, okay, we spent 22 million on this player. Okay, we think he's going to be good. And if you're spending that kind of money, you think he's going to be around for a while. You're not spending that 22 million, think he's going to be here for like 2 seasons, and you're going to you may be able to resell him, but like realistically, you're probably signing him with the idea he's going to be here for at least 3 to 4 seasons.
At least,
right? Like that's probably going to be the contract. It's probably going to be like a 4-year deal.
I would have the option year be like his 30-31 year.
Yeah. So okay, he's 25. Let's say he does a 4-year. He's going to be 20. Yeah,
4 year
or 26. Excuse me, just 26. You're right.
Yeah.
So his out year is probably 30. Yeah. So I mean, is he the guy who's going to lead your attack? Is this the guy that you think is going to, and I mean, like clearly they do. If they've spent 22 million, they clearly think he is. The question is he really? And I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I mean, I liked what I've seen. I've watched a bit of Josh Sargent because I've watched the Championship and watched Norwich play, and he can score goals. But I just, again, it's different when you're in the Championship and you got some talented guys that can kind of take some of that off of you. 100%. It's different when you got to be the guy.
And let's not gloss over the huge elephant in the room. He may be the guy, and we're Ulla Brynhildsen him, right? He's coming in before preseason, expectations high on his shoulders. Strikers are super, super streaky and all about confidence and all about. So, the expectation for him to hit the ground running is huge. And if he doesn't, the runway for him to get back on the horse is almost non-existent, right? Like, and that was exactly the Ulla situation. Like, you look at Ulla's stats and you're like, and then he comes in, but at the end of the day, I don't think anybody could argue that his lack of success at TFC was as much of an us problem as a him problem, right?
Sure. I mean, he was never fit. He was never fit.
There's a lot that he has to answer for. But there's a lot that we have to answer for in how we instigated it.
Sure.
There's
just one big difference in that analogy, Jeff, is that there was little risk to Ulla Brynhildsen. He was on loan.
Oh, yeah.
So we could give him back. Like, we literally, we don't want him, give him back.
Oh, yeah.
You can't do that with Josh Sargent.
I'm mostly just saying that like, we're not giving him the runway that he maybe needs. Like, we're asking him to be better than the average in MLS. Well, most of those guys had a full preseason with their team. Some of them are on year 2, year 3, year 4. We're ignoring all of that and just saying, hey, we paid 22 million for you, so forget about all the other rigmarole. Like, you got to get here and immediately be the guy. And it's like, that's already hard enough with a preseason, and now we've taken that away from him.
Yeah, but I mean, that's my problem here. That I get it. It's going to drag on, and they probably dragged on longer than they had anticipated. They thought maybe Norwich would give in a lot easier than they did. But he's going to be here, and he's probably going to miss the first 2 games because I don't think he's going to play on Saturday. But we'll see.
On turf?
So then, that terrible turf. So they're probably going to start him in Cincinnati, and that would be his first game. And then his second game's at home on the opener, and there'll be a lot of expectations on him. So we'll see. Again, presser we think is going to be tomorrow. I mean, it should be. We'll see how that goes.
I got a question from the crowd.
Yeah.
If we start slow, do we say Frazier out?
Honestly, go ahead.
If we start slow, I say burn it down. I mean, I just like it won't happen because what's the point of spending money or upsetting the apple cart on the eve of like being a guest in your own house? But like if we start slow, I can say I think can capably say like I'm done with giving this team the patience to figure it out.
I don't think that's unreasonable. I mean, I think what is slow though, like. They come back if they come back from the road trip winless?
I think that's almost a guarantee,
right? Like if you come back from the road trip pointless, they come home to 9 straight with no points in 3 games. I don't think it's unreasonable for Robin Fraser to have some pressure on him, and some questions. Now, look, their excuse will be like, "Hey, we signed all these players; they've come in late. We're trying to integrate them into the team. Yada yada yada." Okay, yeah, I agree to a certain extent, and I think that's fair. If you're listening on podcasts, Jeff brought out the tiny violin.
Yeah, I did the tiniest violin.
Yeah, but like, I think at the same time, like, you're gonna have to ride with him a little bit. You until he can get these signings up and running. But I do think the leash may be short this time because if you go into those 9 games, and let's just say even if you go into those 9 games and you come out, maybe you go in those first 3 games and maybe you only win 1 of them or 2. Like, I don't know. You start thinking like you're behind really quick, and then before you know it, World Cup breaks here, and you don't have a home game till middle of August.
Yeah. And you're floundering, like you're not even floundering, water, right? You're officially drowning, like under your own weight. Yep.
And I don't know if TFC can afford another season like that.
And that's what I mean. I didn't want to say it, but Calcio Culo Hernandez will have no choice but to throw Frazier under the bus because otherwise it's his seat.
Here's the question: does Hernandez start getting the heat to go under the bus? Like, you know what I mean? Like, is Keith Pelly got to look at this and be like, "Holy crap!" Right? Like,
Well, I mean, has Frazier done enough to has he really done enough to inspire the kind of confidence that he's going? Because if you fire the GM, like the next GM that's coming in is not going to want to work with Robin Fraser. They're going to want their own guy, right? Like, how does he survive Hernandez leaving? Yeah.
I mean, it might be a double situation. We'll see.
I don't like that at all. Ryan downtown. I think you will see a lot of coaches on a short leash with Wilfred Nancy available. He's a distressed asset right now. I do not want to be Wilfred.
That was not a good situation. Celtic was not a good situation to go.
But I still do not want to be his next stop on the redemption tour. I agree with you. I still don't want to be the place that he lands with all of that badness. Like, I just let him figure out who he is. Not on our dime. We've got enough damn problems. Like, seriously.
Fair enough. All right, let's we'll see what happens and follow our socials for when the official Josh Sargent announcement gets dropped and the press conference happens. All right, Mr. Nesco, you got some over-unders.
Yeah, I do. I have 4 like you did. First is William Yarbrough, and my over-under is 8.5 appearances in all comps. And just to qualify, he had 22 appearances in all comps in 2023. He had 22 appearances in all comps in 2024, and he had 0 appearances in all comps with Inter Miami in 2025.
He was the third in Miami last year. Yeah.
Yes. Once again, it is over under 8.5 appearances all comps this year. Mikey Singh has already voted, and Mikey Singh votes over.
He thinks he does over. I think he'll be over as well. I think he's going to get enough starts in MLS, between MLS and the Cup, to surpass that. Look, we're still going to see what Luca Gavin is. Game 1, not the best, but he's still going to have the number 1 shirt until he really drops it.
His body language was terrible. It was terrible.
I mean, going down 9 in your first full start as the full number 1, you're going to have some shoulders drop. Hopefully William Yarbrough's there to help pick him up. But I think Yarbrough will get minutes. I think he'll get time.
Maybe even as soon as this weekend, if I'm being honest. I'm over as well. Yeah. I sent this to JMO because he was in the last one. Has he given me his picks yet? I don't think so. So we'll get those from JMO, but we're us three are over. Okay. Next, Malik Henry. I've got him. It's funny. 8.5 appearances in all comps as well to qualify.
Easy over.
Qualify in 2022 at Hamilton United, he had 10. 2023-24 at the Flint City Bucks, he had 18. For TFC 1 and 2, he bounced back twice last year. He had 30 appearances all comps between both teams. 27 for TFC 2, 3 for the first team. So you're going over?
Smashing that over. Yeah. I mean, look, like the reality is like with Theo now out, and I really actually think they really believe in him. I think they really
I mean, I don't know if they have a choice. It's the easiest over.
That's probably it. And I think they
I did write this before the Theo hospital picture came out, and I wanted to be fair to the process. I didn't want to change it. All right, my boy, Alonso Cuejo. I've got him at 28.5 appearances in all comps. I really like the appearances in all comps over unders, by the way. I find them hilarious. And so to qualify, 2023, he had 21 appearances. 2024, he had 25 appearances. And 2025 last year, he had 31. So it's definitely an upward trajectory. Once again, the over-under is Alonso Cuejo, 28.5 appearances, all comps in our calendar year 2026. Mikey Singh is under.
Yeah, he has him under. Yeah, I can kind of see that. 28 and a half.
It's like smack dab in the middle of what he had got in 24 and 25.
Yeah, right? So the one thing that I could see happening is that if you don't want to play so wide, he drops into the 2 with Cifuentes. And therefore he plays a little deeper, and therefore it's Cuejo who goes to the bench. Yeah. So that I can actually see that. So I will actually go under. I think that might happen, and it's a numbers game. And look, I love Cuejo. I love Cuejo the way you do too. But he does have the individual error bug. He does bites him.
He absolutely does. It bites him all the time. That being said, I cannot do under because my soul will die. So it's an over for me. But I get your point, and I do think that that's what happens. Hopefully he makes that a really difficult decision for Robin Fraser by eliminating the brain farts in his game. Last one, Richie Larea, and this one's a good one. I like this one. 3.5 goals in all competitions.
Sorry, that was 3.5.
3.5. Now that sounds like I'm slagging off our boy Richie, but if you look at, so in 2023 between TFC and Vancouver, he only had 8 goals. 2024 for TFC, he had 3 goals. 2025, he only had 1 goal. We're not talking about goal contributions. We're talking about goals. Yeah. The nuts and bolts goals. So I think 3.5 is fair. And I'm going to start this time. I'm taking the over because he's healthy. This is the first year in 2 years that he's been healthy right off the hop. So I'm taking the over. I think he's easily going to go higher than 3.5 goals.
Fair enough. I'm going to go under. I will go under that. I think it's like 2. I don't know if they're going to play him in the midfield that much. 2, I think like 1, he'll be away with Canada a lot. So that's going to be a thing. And I just like, I think some of the struggles he's had, not just with injuries, but when he has even been fit, is the nature of, and I've noticed that he comes back from Canada, and not that his performance is dead, but it's just like he's not quite the same guy. And like it's a lot of football. He plays a lot of football between the national team and EFC. So I'm going to go under on 3.5 goals.
That's fair. Mikey Singh also went under. So the two of you are aligned on that. I just can't. I look at that stat and I go, I can't do that to my boy Richie. I gotta vouch for him having more than 3.5 goals in a campaign.
If he went over 3, I wouldn't be shocked at all. But I just
it's a safe bet. You probably got the right chat. And so that's the 4 for today.
Okay.
like I said, we'll get JMO's picks and then I'll add those in. But
Okay.
that concludes my broadcast day.
All right, lovely. Okay.
Should I
We'll
roll
wrap
the
it
thing?
up. We'll wrap it up with Red of the Day.
Okay, let me just cue up our awesome little thing.
Yeah. So you didn't see me, I was vibing there a little bit. Random Red of the Day. This is one for the old heads that I think you all got a soft spot for. Nana Adakora. Everybody, I don't know anybody who's a TFC fan who doesn't have a soft spot for Nana Adakora. TFC player from 2007 to 2011. One of the original young players that came through, not the academy, because there wasn't really an academy at the time, but, young player that had been playing in North York, had been playing in Brampton, and comes through and signs for his hometown team. 56 appearances, 3 goals for TFC. Actually carved out a pretty good career for himself. Got 9 senior team caps for Canada between 2010 and 2017. Was a constant with the U20s. But this is a guy who was one of the kids that came through. I think his first goal? Like, he got into the reserve back in the old MLS reserve division. That's when the first time I saw him was after a game. When they used to do the doubleheaders at BMO Field, where you'd watch the senior team, and then right after the reserve team came, and there was the true sickos would only stick around for that. So that's where I first really saw him.
Oh my goodness.
But yeah, no, really broke into the team sort of 2008, 2009. I think he made his first game against the Rapids. And look, I had a decent run at TFC. A guy who was playing pretty regularly. He's trying to get to Europe, but TFC then sent him to San Jose. And I remember that because, and it's in his Wikipedia, he was looking to go abroad. But they ended up keeping him in MLS, and he went to San Jose, and he didn't play that much for San Jose.
6 appearances,
which was a little disappointing. And then he did make a move to Europe for a bit, didn't play a lot.
To Haka.
Yeah. And then really found a bit of a footing in USL. Found a footing with San Antonio, with Fort Lauderdale. He was on that magic San Francisco Deltas team in 2017.
They were
that was the same team. That was the same team with Kyle Becker that went on and won the NASL Soccer Bowl. That one year where that team was like a super team. And then he played for the Ottawa Fury for a while before he ended his career in Oakland. I believe he's a coach now. I think he was coaching. He was coaching at Oakland Roots. I don't know if he's still at Oakland Roots right now, but he was coaching there for a while. So he does have his badges and his coaching now. But I think one of those players who, one of the first sort of young players, and the predecessor to Daniil and
that's what I was saying. One of the first. I mean, Danny Dicchio, obviously, but one of the first hometown boys for TFC.
He was one of the first to come through.
And I loved that defensive partnership with Adrian. That was a pretty spicy little center back pairing that I remember being pretty impressed with, because watching MLS watching TFC and MLS was an exercise in stamina some of the time, and it was nice to see some sort of defensive solidity there. Can I just totally go off the
No, that's okay. That's all I had.
What drives me crazy about USL is, it drives me nuts when I see someone in the UK say the MLS, the Major League Soccer. It drives me nuts. But there's a margin for allowing a certain cultural sensitivities. When USL tweets out he featured in the MLS, I have a big problem with that.
That's intentional shit. That's
that's just like he featured in the MLS. Sorry, either you're being a hipster or you're an idiot, and so that bothers me all the time. I mean, what else can you say really? Like North York kid, had a pretty decent career. Was that who was coaching San Jose when he played for them? Was that the guy that got canned because he couldn't keep quiet in press conferences? That really mouthy guy.
No. Okay. I can't remember who was coaching.
Yeah, I can't either.
I can't remember.
I mean, this is a pretty impressive career. He did get his brief sojourn into Europe. He played a lot of competitive minutes at USL during his prime. You got to think that Nana's pretty happy with, looking at his CV right now.
Yeah,
still
absolutely.
They're 40, right?
Yeah, and you're coaching now, and he's got his badge, and he's coaching away.
Exactly.
Before we wrap up, actually, TSO Canuck has a question for us, and I wanted to see. Can you explain why Stefan Eustáquio wasn't picked up by Toronto FC? It's not so much that TFC didn't pick him up as that he did not want to come to Toronto FC.
Yeah.
Long story short is he got an opportunity to go to LAFC, and he wanted to go there. And can you blame him?
I mean, do you want to be throwing off through balls for Son Heung-min or Malik Henry? Like, let's be honest, guys. LAFC's this is a person who went from fighting for time at Porto, his dream move club, to getting ostracized. He's how many coaches has he been in favor with and then fallen out of favor with? He's probably exhausted and just wants to play some football with good. And
he has a good relationship with Mark DeSantos.
Yeah. I can't believe Mark DeSantos has
coaching LAFC. Yeah, I know.
I can't believe it. I can't believe it.
I don't want to say fall up. He's actually a very good coach, but But anyway, so that's it. He wanted to play for Mark DeSantos. Mark DeSantos,
it's like Josh Sargent with us. There was no other club.
There wasn't really going to be another team. I'm sure TFC might have come in and said "Hey, would you be interested?"
Also, isn't his brother pretty involved with Inter Toronto FC, York 9?
Well, he's that coach. His brother's
exactly.
Coach.
So that would be like going to the other Toronto team. So I'm sure that he probably didn't want to do that.
Yeah, so that's really the story. I mean, I personally don't even think Toronto FC really were in
this idea that Toronto can have their pick of the litter of any Canadian
the national team players.
The MLS is so insane. Maybe in 2017, but certainly not right now. Yeah. Oh, Frank Yallop. Oh, another.
Yeah, that's right. That is right.
Okay.
Correct. Thank you, Ryan.
Well, Thank you.
Nata Adakora as a coach was former men's national team coach Frank Yallop.
What was his name? Mike Penke. What was the guy who got
Mike Pecky? Ooh,
exactly.
That's a whole other segment for another show one day.
Yeah, he was hilarious,
how a man who was probably going to be on his way to being a national team manager for the United States and in the running burns his career. Literally 10 minutes. Literally smolders his career in 10 minutes. But we can talk about it another day. Okay, let's wrap it up. Thank you, everybody. The community. Thank you for everybody in the chat watching live, whether you're watching on YouTube, whether you're watching on the Twitter. We really appreciate it. Find us on all the socials. Just hit the old Google box, type in Toronto Till I Die, and you can find all our socials. If you're watching this live on YouTube, please subscribe. I think we're over 500. We're trying to get to 600 subscribers. We really do.
Well, we're really trying to get to 1,000. So
we are trying to get to 1,000, but baby steps. Yeah. We appreciate that. Follow us on Instagram at TTID Show. We do put clips of the video up there, and of course, we put the podcast on the next day.
Who's going to be in Vancouver next week?
Sorry,
aren't you going to be in Vancouver?
Yes, I will be. So I will be. I will be in Vancouver for the away game this Saturday. I'll try to do some stuff. I'm seeing. I got the mini mic. I'm a mini mic guy now. So I'm gonna bring the mini mic, say a couple of things. Put something together on away days because, as a lot of away days are the best days. I mean, let's see what this team is. Either we play well or get laughed out of the building. So, hey,
I'm really curious what the zeitgeist with Vancouver fans is.
I'm gonna ask. I'm gonna try to talk to some people in Vancouver about it. Not in a slaggy kind of way, just more.
I mean, it sucks. My heart bleeds for them. It sucks. Yeah. It absolutely sucks.
And I'll say this right now: if Vancouver leaves, it is not good for Canadian football. It's a massive loss for Canadian football.
But I am wary about where the fingers of blame are going to be pointed and if they're pointed in the right direction. It is not the BC government's responsibility to get into private enterprise when private enterprise is failing of their own volition. Like, it's just, that's not what government's for. I know in Canada,
but the stadium deal is not great. Let's be
it's not great, but I mean, you've had a long time to approach something different, and now that we're in the 25th hour and the sky is falling, like, it's just so bad. Like, it really is. It's
not a great situation. No. So I'll let you know how it goes out there. I'll do some stuff out there. So I'll be out in Vancouver. But other than that, thank you, Mr. Nesker. It's great to see you again.
It was great to see you, buddy. Great to see you.
We'll be back next week, recapping the game and getting ready for the Cincinnati away game. But for Jeffrey P. Nesker, I'm Mike Newell. We will see you next week. Cheers, everybody. Bye.
Cheers. Bye.
And wait, and baby, I'm TFC till I die.